As you can see behind me, the ragwort is taking over. A heads up though, if you have horses and you've searched this video because you don't want ragwort in your paddock, this isn't the video for you. I've specifically got ragwort in my garden because it's important in the life cycle of the cinnabar moth. Now, I am a novice gardener, and if you're a novice gardener like me, or perhaps a more experienced gardener who'd like to have a laugh at me in the comments and share your expertise, I would love it if you would consider subscribing to my channel. All you need to do is to tap the button marked subscribe, and that means next time you open the YouTube app on your phone, your tablet or your computer, one of my videos will be waiting for you. Right, let's make a start. Tools required, 1 garden fork and a tarpaulin to lie on the ground to catch all the muddy bits. It's not too difficult digging up because the roots of the ragwort are quite shallow, so you can see here with just one wiggle of my fork all those stems have fallen to the ground. And the reason I go to the effort of putting down a tarpaulin first, well, my husband is rather particular about his lawn. We do have a wildlife garden, but he likes to keep one part of the lawn neatly mown. So by putting a tarpaulin down first, I keep all the random bits of soil off the lawn and any stray pebbles, but it also makes it much easier when I'm carrying stuff to the compost because I only need to make one journey. Ragwort has a bit of a bad reputation, particularly if you own horses, but it's been fantastic in our garden, giving lots of summertime colour, although sadly this year the caterpillars of the cinnabar moth have not been plentiful at all, and because the caterpillars haven't been feeding on the ragwort, it's just getting a little bit out of control. So it's that fine balance when you're wildlife gardening, of gardening for the wildlife but not wanting your whole garden to be a mess. It's a few days earlier and I've just come back from my outdoor yoga class in town, and I've been trying to decide whether I need to cut back my feverfew. So a quick Google and yes, I should be doing this. The feverfew has gone over the crisp orangey yellow centres of the daisy-like flowers are starting to go quite mustardy in colour and are starting to fall apart. It's clearly setting seed, and again it's just looking a little bit unruly. So I'm working my way through the patch, deadheading, cutting the plant back by about a half, and I'm hoping that that's going to encourage some new growth before the autumn months set in. And let's just take a moment to enjoy my fantastic hydrangea. I think I've mentioned before that last year I only had 3 heads on it, so I'm so pleased with the show that it's giving at the moment. Apparently the feverfew leaves a really good cure for migraines, and rather bizarrely we had a workman round at our house 2 or 3 years ago and I was suffering from a migraine at the time, so he brought round this feverfew plant and he said actually feverfew tastes so awful that he recommends putting it in a sandwich but adding loads of Marmite too, so you can just imagine what it tastes like. I tried eating the leaves once, but for me, I'm sticking with my prescription medication. If you've been watching my gardening series here on YouTube for a while, you'll know that I don't consider myself to be a natural gardener. For me, it's all about enjoying the cut flowers to bring indoors, just to make my garden experience a little more enjoyable. I have got myself some rather nice or more interesting gardening baskets, so as I walk to and fro from the compost heap, I can derive a little bit of pleasure rather than having a plastic truck to hand. Can you see the fennel? I can hardly see it either. So this lot of ragwort is getting the chop too. Well, not so much the chop, I'm digging it out. It seems counterintuitive to dig out something from the garden that's in flower, but for me this ragwort has got out of control. It's too tall and it's too showy, and was hiding my beautiful fennel, so now I'm able to showcase that as the season moves on. Now, do you remember me telling you last week that my friend Sue had come around to drop off some flowers that I'd ordered from her? She had a little look round the garden and was very scathing about the planting of this azalea. She said I should dig it up and plant it deeper and mulch it, and that's exactly what I'm doing today. So you can see how easily the azalea came out of its hole. We originally had it in the front garden in a pot, and as you can see it had become quite pot bound, so it's time to set it free. So I'm having trouble digging down with my spade, just getting the angles right, so I'm on my hands and knees clawing out the earth and just sort of dry setting the plant in and deciding whether I've gone deep enough. And I'm just going to do a little more scooping out with my hands and then add in some water. I think I've gone deep enough now, so trying again. Yes, that looks absolutely perfect. So I'm going to pour water into the hole before I plant the azalea into it. And I think my watering cans both hold 10 litres, so I'm putting in 20 litres of water. The earth is really, really dry and it's taking a little bit of time to soak down. And the next thing I need to do is to tease the roots out, and to be honest, I couldn't really see any roots. The whole of the root ball was really, really dry. I can see I've got crocks in the bottom that are welded in there with the growth that's already happened, and I'm just working my way quite hard just to try and dislodge some of those roots so they can start to grow out into the earth rather than following the pattern of the plant pot they were originally in. So I'm scraping away and then lifting it up. And the only thing I forgot to do was to rotate the plant to try and get its best side facing out. I just threw it into the hole and then started backfilling. As you know, if you've been watching some of my gardening videos, my husband is my gardening guru. He is the gardener of the house, and I've had to edit out a bit of the footage here because he was telling me there was just absolutely no point in replanting this azalea and it would be better off just to chuck it in the compost heap. So I am absolutely determined to prove him wrong, and I've been watering this with a full 10 litres every morning since. So watch on to the end of the video and let me know in the comments whether you think it was worth it or whether my husband was right and it should have been consigned to the compost heap. You can see that I'm firming in the soil with the heel of my foot and the ball of my hand, and then I need to fill up my 2 watering cans again and water from the top. So far that is 4 watering cans full of water, which is 40 litres. I'm having to take it slow and steady here because the soil is so dry, the water isn't soaking in very well. It's bizarre, isn't it, that in order for the water to soak into your soil needs to be a little bit moist to start with. So once I've emptied out these 2 watering cans, I'm going to mulch the top surface around the azalea. So I have dug out some of the compost from the compost heap to do this. So it's rather satisfying being able to keep it all in-house and not have to go out and buy any mulch. So tipping it out of the wheelbarrow into one big pile, and then it's back on my hands and knees, unfortunately with my gardening gloves on, smoothing it out around the plant. And then a final watering can just to make sure the plant has got plenty of water, and hopefully it'll start to pick up. So this is now 50 litres of water I've poured onto the azalea, and ever since I've been pouring 1 watering can full of water onto the azalea every morning. So I was doing this I think on Sunday morning. It's now Thursday, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, that's 4 days of watering. And what do you think? Has it made a difference? I'd like to think that everything is looking rather lush and wonderful. Let me know in the comments whether you would have rescued this azalea, or like my husband, you would have just consigned it straight to the compost heap. Well, I'm all ready for inspection, and here comes Maggie the dog. Thank you for joining me in the garden, and I'll see you again next time.